Maybe you can tell us about how you found these home movie parts, the footage, and how the process was to work with them.
Yeah, I found this footage. There were about 50 film reels, most of them 16 millimeters and some of them 8 millimeters. And we found them in the basement of my grandfather, who was Swiss, and who is the person played by, the other way around, sorry. And then the character is Leon Barrett, and the person behind the character is my grandfather, and he was the one who filmed all these reels. And when he died, I didn't know about the existence of these reels. And when he died, we found them out in the basement, and I decided to take them back to Barcelona, where I live, and to start digitize them. And when I found out what was in there, the material, I wanted to do something with it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had very clear what I didn't want to do, which is at least something. No? It helps.
Like what?
I didn't want to talk about their personal lives, not because of anything special or secret, but just because I felt, also if it sounds contradictory, I felt comfortable using his images, but their images, but not their personal lives. And I didn't want, also because of the process, I didn't want to make like, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I didn't want to do a conventional documentary film saying my grandfather was born in 1913, etc. I thought there was much more freedom and fun in building different characters from the images and also from the things I wanted to express.
Yeah, and like the composition of this footage, of those images, at first we could imagine that it is a very documentary approach also, only by the way you put the narrative then. And then we realize, after you found this footage in the basement, you put this layer of you found in the attic, this kind of book of this person with this wonderful name, and it's a very and it's such a fictional layer you put on this. Also with the diary of Viviane Barrett. Maybe you want to talk about those layer that you.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, because the intention was never, of course, to lie, like that, and to fool anyone. It's more like a game, like to play something, and it's a kind of ludic thing. And then Karyapali was another character I was very eager to build, because it helped me a lot to express things that maybe in Vivian's diary would sound a bit too fake, and it's always easier to say things like in a distant character somehow. And it was another layer, because at the end everything falls apart, no? The magic pill, the guru, the love relationship, and the whole film actually. And that's, for me, part of life also. Yeah,
and also the character with the illness, kind of like also this.
Well, that's not a lie, and actually I wouldn't have lied with that. That's the only thing that is true. And I didn't lie in the dates of death or the reason of the death of her.
Since you were talking about those different layers, this multi-layered approach also, I think it would be also interesting to know how you really worked on it. How was the process? Like, did you take the home movie footage and then you composed the other layers, or how was the process? Because it's been a long time you've been working on this film.
It's been a long process. It's been 7 years. I also had a great time. It was a great experience, a lot of fun, also a lot of suffering, both things. But it was all in all a great experience. And I started on one hand with the images, because the images talk, no? They are the voice at the end, both of him and of her. And on the other hand, I wrote down everything that came into my mind completely separately from the images. There were just things that I wanted to say. And after 3 years of doing these two parallel processes, I started to look for ways of bringing them together. And that was the most fun part, because sometimes there were things that were interesting. And it was, like a puzzle or, something funny to do. And sometimes also hard, because sometimes I wanted to say this and the images were there and I was forcing a bit too much. But, at the end I had to also take out a lot of things I wanted to include. But that's part of the process, no?
I think one very attentive and also careful approach is the way you thematize and implement filmmaking. Since in the diary you talk a lot about filmmaking, not only what filmmaking does, the best way of self-delusion, right?
It's all. Actually, writing a diary is exactly the same. It's also a way of self-delusion, and making a film too. At the end, everything is self-delusion, no, for me. But there's a way of, when you are filming, of course, you are choosing only the part of life that you want to show to yourself and to others, but especially to yourself. And it happens the same when you write your diary. And it's a kind of reinterpreting your own memory and your own life, because that's what's going to stick in your mind and that's going to build your memory. That's why I don't trust memory at all. So I also was thinking, if I wanted to stick to the facts of my grandparents' life, if I had choose the other way, I would have lied much more, for sure. And there's something I always tell, and I'm going to tell again now, that is, when my mother, who is the daughter of them, saw the film, she told me that I had made a more truthful portrayal of my grandparents than if I had told the true story, which means that there is some truth in the images and you can express a truth through a fiction. And sometimes with a documentary film, if you are relying on the memory of other people, you might lie much more.